European influence and international influence that's coming into the NBA. And I just think that as a natural part of that, you're going to want to try to move around so that your dollars get extended the farthest way, And so to make that game, as interesting to all people watching as possible. But in terms of what makes that more interesting to watch, I personally just feel like, there's, in my opinion, it's still two totally different ball games, the European game and the NBA. I think that there's no doubt the NBA is just so much more exciting to watch in terms of the athleticism and speed. But I'm just I guess I'm just a sucker for the more so the X's and O's. And like you said, with the lanes being a little wider, the spacing, the timing, it's hard to say. There's so many intricacies that go into that. And a lot of it starts with the players that you have, and it's just hard to argue with the NBA players being the best players in the world. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I'm kind of hitting the wall with that one.
Okay, we'll move on. You've mentioned that you've traveled a lot in your times overseas. Has there been a favorite place that you've played or a favorite venue that you've played in?
My favorite place that I've traveled for a game was probably this past year when I was able to travel to Venice to play a game. That was actually my first time in Venice. So that was a pretty interesting experience. Not only had it given me a chance to travel internationally for a game, but to be able to see a city that I've never seen before, which my basketball travels have taken me to plenty of cities that I've never seen before. But, this was one that had always been on my list and I hadn't been to my own personal travel. So that was pretty cool this past fall. In terms of venues to play in, probably in Moscow. I got to play against CSKA Moscow, which more and more people in the States will probably be familiar with, but they've been a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse in Europe for a very, very long time. Having an opportunity to play against that type level of a team and to play in Moscow in their home court, that was pretty intense. That was a few years ago, but that was a really, really cool experience.
You said you've learned a lot about yourselves being outside of the United States. Have you adopted any new traditions or customs from the overseas cultures?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
You mentioned that you've learned a lot about yourself since you've lived outside the United States. Have you adopted any foreign traditions or customs in your time away?
Yeah. One of the things, bread, for example, I will rarely ever get bread in a bag anymore, ever. To me, that's just not bread anymore. Bread that you can buy and it's still fresh a week later, to me, is not bread. So that's one of the things that I've adopted, I guess, since being here, is freshly baked bread every day. That's one huge thing, actually. Another thing is just going out to get a drink with somebody. Everybody at home, we always say cheers, blah blah blah. Sometimes we don't. But here, and most of my experience here in Europe, going out to have a drink with somebody, even if it's coffee or tea or whatever, it's really something sacred, time to spend together. So, for example, if we're going to have a beer together, we're going to say cheers, we're going to look each other in the eye when we cheers each other. Seems a little strange, but it's a little more intentional about sharing time with each other and really enjoying time with your friends. And so that was something that really hit me kind of quick, the first time going out and getting drinks with friends in Europe and everybody saying cheers, and I'm the only one that didn't look somebody in the eye, and they looked at me like I was kind of crazy. So that was something that I adopted really quick. But, there's a ton of little things. Like I said, I've been out here 10 years now, so my life is definitely swung more towards the end of the European lifestyle than has been the American lifestyle. So tough to kind of pull out those things, as they're pretty deep in my way of life right now.
We definitely drink a beer one day and say cheers to that. Lastly, and I'll get you out on this. It's been 10 years since you've put on the North Carolina uniform. We always talk about the Carolina family and how it's big and whatnot. Are you still actively following the program? I know it's got to be kind of hard being so far ahead in terms of time.
Yeah, I'm definitely following. A few years ago, I bought a house in Chapel Hill, so the little bit of time that I do spend in the U.S., I spend in Chapel Hill and still training on campus during some of the summer months, and still getting a chance to bump into some of the guys and interact with some of the guys. I host a basketball camp in Chapel Hill for the last couple of years, and had some of the current guys come speak to the kids, which has been great. So I'm still around as much as I can, and there's never going to be a time where I'm not following, even if that means 4 o'clock in the morning tip off for the Carolina game. I'll still be up watching. So it's definitely not as easy, but I can't see a situation where I would ever not be following the Heels.
That's fantastic. I know I didn't put this on my list of questions, but I want to ask you this really quick. Roy Williams dropped an F-bomb in a press conference this year after a loss to Notre Dame. Do you remember him saying that to you guys in practice at all?
I'll be honest with you. I did not know that, and I don't ever remember hearing about that. And so that still, to this day, that still may not bring his tally to more than 5 times that I've ever heard a curse word come out of his mouth. So, yeah, that's very strange. And I can't imagine what he would have been feeling in order for him to say that. So, to answer your question, no. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you the other couple of times that I even think that he cursed like that. Especially that one, Right. So, yeah. And that's something a lot of people don't ever believe when I talk to them about Coach Williams, because everybody hears stories about coaches being a little fired up in practice and on the bench during games and things like that. Everybody knows about the potty mouth 8 miles down the road. But no, I really have never heard him go crazy like that in terms of like that type of language. He's always been fired up, and you always see him with high energy, but he's always found a way to motivate guys with respect and with dignity, and never really getting too crazy with his words.
All right, that all sounds good. Marcus, I want to thank you for taking some time to come on and talk with us. I definitely enjoyed it, and hopefully we can do it again sometime down the road.
I appreciate it, Josh. Thanks for thinking of me. I appreciate you taking the time as well.
All right, man. You stay strong and stay healthy, okay, buddy?
All right, thank you.
All right, yep. And there you go, guys. That was former Tar Heel forward Marcus Ginyard taking some time to come on here and talk with us about his pre-Carolina days, his Carolina days, and what's going on with him post-Carolina. He's been very active overseas, so really, really proud of Marcus and what he's done on the basketball court since he took off the Carolina uniform. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the podcast. Before I let you go, we'd encourage you guys to subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on every major podcasting platform, most notably Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Podcasts. Give us a like, review me, review Anthony when he's here. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button. That way you get every new episode after every time we upload one onto the site. Well, that's going to do for this edition of the podcast. Stay strong, stay healthy, and as always, go Tar Heels.